is the uterus here, the uterine cavity inside. This is the wall of the uterus, and the inner layer is this, the ovaries, and this is the uterine tube. And you can see this ovum here, and the ovum is now in the zygote stage. And now let's see what happens to this zygote. You'll have a more closer look. This is a zygote, 46 chromosomes, and the cleavage process starts, and it is going to change into two cells. This is the two cell stage, right? And then this is within the 30 hours, and each cell is known as blastomere, and the thick zone outside is the zona pellucida. It is moving, and as it moves, it is dividing. The blastomeres are dividing by mitosis, and there's a 4-cell stage. Then there is going to be the 8-cell stage, and along with it is moving through the uterine tube, the 8-cell stage, and then the 16-cell stage will be there. The 16-cell stage is the marula, and this is going to be, now this is the marula, and marula is moving into the uterus. That is on the 3rd day, and you can see the zona pellucida all around, and as it moves in, the zona pellucida thins out, and a cavity is created with formation and alignment of the cells, the blastocyst cavity, the outer cell mass, the trophoblast, and inner cell mass, the embryoblast. And now it is going to attach itself to the uterine wall. This is the endometrium, and this is the embryonic pole. And the embryonic pole, the trophoblast, will attach itself here, and this is the embryoblast, and the trophoblast will forms in situ trophoblast, and the cytotrophoblast will be the original layer, and it will drag this inside the endometrium, and it will be embedded into the endometrium, right? This is, and hypoblast will be a layer in the inner side of the uterine cavity of the embryoblast here. This is the closer view of the embryoblast. I'll stop this video and show you the implantation process. This, can you see? This is the how it was seen there. Let's see the implantation process, how this is occurring in this case. Now the same is moving, and you can see the blastocyst here. And now the next, how the finger-like extensions grow and drag the blastocyst inside. Just I'm going to pause here, and they will zoom this diagram, but I just want to show you how small is this blastocyst at this time, and the wall is just like a seed, and you can see the small extensions from the trophoblast forming the syncytial trophoblast. Let's see what happens next. It will erode. Now, this is important point here. They've highlighted this part of the uterus, showing you that this part of the uterus is the posterior part. Posterior means the superior and the posterior wall of the uterus where the implantation will occur. If the implantation occurs somewhere here, this is an abnormal implantation. The implantation must occur in the posterior and the superior part. So let's see what happens next. And they're going to zoom this zone only. And this is, they have shown you now the closer look of this. This is the endometrium, right? And this is the attachment of the blastocyst here. The blastocyst with the inner cell mass, the embryoblast and trophoblast, and they have shown a green zone here which will form the syncytial trophoblast and will dig in. Now just watch the layer of the endometrium, the uterine glands where the decidua is going to form. Now can you see the finger-like extensions which have grown from this trophoblast, right? This is, इसको मैं थोड़ा सा और फिर दोबारा पीछे लेकर जाती हूँ. ये The finger-like extensions from the trophoblast, they have shown in different color so that you can make out this is the syncytial trophoblast, and now you have to name the inner layer differently. This will be named as cytotrophoblast. Initially, it is only at the embryonic pole, then it will extend and extend all around. Now, see how it grows and it forms a multinucleated mass. It is digging in and eroding the endometrium and will drag this into the whole of this blastocyst inside. Now, this is the end of the first week, where the embryoblast has also shown another layer on the inside, which is the hypoblast. So there's syncytial trophoblast, and there's a cytotrophoblast. There is embryoblast with the inner layer of embryoblast known as hypoblast, and this is the blastocyst cavity. Now, see, it is dragging and it is taking the blastocyst inside the endometrium, and the size of the syncytial trophoblast is also increasing. It will cover all around ultimately. See how it's moving, and it is now almost completely embedded, but there will be a surface defect here, and which will be closed and it will be healed just like any defect in the body. Now it's inside the endometrium. Now it's inside the endometrium. This is the endometrial glands where the decidual cells and decidual reaction is there. This is the syncytial trophoblast, and this is the cytotrophoblast here, the blastocyst cavity. And what has happened during its embedding process, as it was moving in, the embryoblast, one layer was a hypoblast, and the rest of the embryoblast cells have also formed a single layer of sheet of cell, and that is actually formation of another cavity within the embryoblast, which is the amniotic cavity, and whole of the embryoblast cells are now two layered. This is upper layer and this is the lower layer. It is now in the form of a disc. देखिए ना, round जैसे ball एक बिल्कुल straight सा disc होता है आपको, just like that. It is now a disc, which is, it has an upper layer and a lower layer. Upper layer of the embryoblast, lower layer of embryoblast, and another cavity there, which is the amniotic cavity. Now let's see what happens next. This is the second week. Now these two layers of the embryoblast are known as epiblast and the hypoblast. Now see, it's growing in, and syncytial trophoblast is spreading all around, and this is the surface defect which was created by the digging in, and it will heal up by the 12th day of the second week. And now see what is happening. This syncytial trophoblast is now eroding the glands which is within the uterine wall, so that it can get nutrition from this area. Now this is the cytotrophoblast, this is syncytial trophoblast. The embryoblast is in two parts, epiblast, hypoblast, and this is a cavity which is amniotic cavity, and this blastocyst cavity is now the primary yolk sac. See what happens next. See what is happening in the syncytial trophoblast. The spaces are being created in the syncytial trophoblast by the movement of the fluid from the uterine gland. These small spaces are there. This is now the embryo, which is the future embryo, consisting of epiblast here, the hypoblast there, amniotic cavity just lined by the amnion. Epiblast and hypoblast, and cytotrophoblast and syncytial trophoblast. So actually there were two things which have now modified in the second week, and they have formed two things. The second week is known as week of twos. Everything will be two. There will be two layers of the embryoblast and the two layers of the trophoblast. The two layers of trophoblast, they are what are those two layers? Cytotrophoblast and syncytiotrophoblast. And two layers of embryoblast, what are those? Epiblast and hypoblast. And there will be two cavities. What are those two cavities? The amniotic cavity, and this is now the primary yolk sac. So amniotic cavity and the primary yolk sac, the embryoblast two layers, epiblast, hypoblast, two layers of trophoblast, cytotrophoblast, and cytotrophoblast. Everything is two, 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 and this is now completely embedded, and the surface defect will soon close. This is what is happening. अच्छा, अब एक और चीज वे बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग हो रही है, and this is the formation of the primary yolk sac, which we must discuss here. And the cells of the hypoblast actually grow and they form a thin layer of membrane. ये cells proliferate कर रहे हैं and they're growing and lining the inner side of cytotrophoblast. This layer of cells is forming a membrane, which is exocelomic membrane, and the cavity is the primary yolk sac or exocelomic cavity. Right, this is the formation of the primary yolk sac by a layer of membrane, which is the exocelomic membrane in it. Now this is the complete picture of when it is embedded in the second week. Right, this is how I'll stop here.